What's up? So, I don't know if this is going to be a crazy topic or not, but this is something that I literally think about probably 1,000 times a day. And it's just this right here. You can literally just do things. Like, I say that so many times, and it just, I don't know, for some reason that just means something to me. And I guess the craziest part about it is that so many people, I mean, the majority of people actually do not understand the fact that, again, you can literally just do things. Like, there's really no rules to this game we're playing called life. I mean, I'm a Christian, so yes, my faith leads me. There's things that I believe that I get from the Bible and from God Himself that I abide by. But as far as like standards and what is expected of you, and I know in business a lot of people talk about industry standards. None of that is real. Like it's all fake. It's all made up by people who probably aren't really doing that well themselves. And so, again, that just brings me back to the point that you can just do things. I have a friend that I talk to often, and he's trying to start a business, and I'm just giving him advice and trying to guide him on that and help him as much as I can, just with my experience. And right now, we're in the process of building out his offer, and he's just trying to figure out his pricing and everything. And one thing he keeps saying to me and keeps talking about is industry standards. And finally, I just asked him, like, what does that even mean? Like, what is an industry standard? And of course, he starts sending me all these spiels about, oh, well, this is what pricing typically is, blah, 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 a bunch of stuff that literally doesn't matter at all. And then finally, I just told him, stop looking at that stuff because it's stupid and it doesn't matter. And it's probably not going to make you any money because the average small business owner takes home less than $40,000 a year. So, do you really want to then follow industry standards? Is that really what you want to hold yourself to? And I framed it to him by just telling him a personal story. In my business, working on a pretty big deal. It was going to be more of a consulting deal, which is something that I don't do often, but this guy was really interested in it. And so I gave him the price and everything. It's pretty expensive. I told him what it was going to be, and I told him that we require payment in full up front. And this guy, like, lost it. Like, he was so confused about the fact that I required payment in full up front. And he was basically telling me, like, with his company, their typical thing is that they like to, when they're working with other vendors, they will do 50% up front and then 50% after services have been fulfilled. And I was pretty blunt. I'm just like, no, that's not how I do things. I do payment in full up front. And again, this guy is like, he's so just confused by that. He sends me, I could pull up the email right now, a long email about how in his 15 years of whatever, he's never heard of anything like that. He said every vendor that he's ever worked with has done 50% up front or less to get started, and all these different things about what's expected, what's typical. He even said that when he's done consulting stuff himself, he's never been paid in full upfront for anything he's ever done. And again, I just said, yeah, that's just what I do because it is. And the reason I do it is because I want to. I want to get paid up front. I don't want to have to, oh, here, yeah, give me 50% now. And then I have to chase you down for the other 50%. That's happened to me in the past, like when I first started in business, and I don't really have the energy for that. So, yeah, it's, it's going to be up front unless it's like super, super high ticket, which this consultant I was going to do for him, it really wasn't that high ticket. Like it should have just been paid up front. And like, it just totally blew his mind. And we're like, it's been a week and he's still kind of going back and forth with me about industry standard and what he's seen in his career. And I'm just like, okay, man, like, cool. That's not how I want to do it, and that's not how I'm ever gonna do it. And so, I don't know. We probably won't work together because he's really stuck on this. But my point in saying all that is you don't have to follow any of those rules that have been set. Like it's not a thing. You're better off just figuring out, okay, how can I do the best possible thing for myself and my situation? Um, and yeah, there's going to be pushback on that a lot of times, and so you have to ask yourself, like, okay, am I comfortable walking away from a potential deal because I'm going to stand on this? Me and where I'm at in life, like it wasn't necessarily something that I'm like, oh my gosh, I need this deal so bad, and so yeah, I stood on it, and I don't know what the outcome's going to be yet. Like we'll see, but like I'm not going to budge on something that I've always done. I've set that as a standard for quite a while now. And it just leads me to kind of the next point. And there's a few things that I want to talk about. Just being out of touch with reality is not necessarily a bad thing. I have friends and family that joke with me all the time. They're really not joking; it's true, and they just say that like I'm out of touch with reality because like I. I don't watch the news. I don't really get into politics, and so I really don't care about those things. I just focus on me and how I can better myself, how I can continue to grow my businesses and just do the things that I want and get what I want out of life. And they say that is selfish and that I not everyone has that luxury to just ignore certain things that are on the news and blah 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 blah. And I don't necessarily think that's true. Like you can like it's a big world. Like most stuff isn't necessarily going to affect you directly, and like I don't want to be insensitive, but I am one of those people that's a firm believer that we are in control of our destiny. Like you can't change your circumstances, and so yeah, I'm not going to sit there watching the news and looking at all the crap that's happening in the world and become this doomer. Oh my gosh, I have to watch out for this, I have to be scared of that. Like I'm just not. It doesn't matter, and it's really not going to change my life in any way. Um, I do sometimes have to kind of reflect on things. Like I know sometimes like I'll have a friend or like my like a family member or something tell me like, oh yeah, I gotta ask my boss if I can get off work, and that like that sentence right there just absolutely blows my mind because I couldn't imagine like having to ask someone else to go on a vacation or go do something. But I do have to remember like, I'm 24 now. I've been working for myself since I was 21, and so like yeah, I guess my reality is a little different, and I am kind of out of touch with what other people are used to, and like quite frankly, I'm cooked. Like, I mean, it would never happen. Like, I won't need to. But if for whatever reason I needed to get like an actual job, I would be cooked because I just wouldn't know how. That's not really something. But the really only real job I've had was a part-time job at the mall at Lululemon when I was still in college, which I dropped out of. But yeah, my my point is there's nothing wrong with being out of touch, and I feel like that's better actually. Like I feel like the more out of touch with reality, and by reality people just mean like the typical average lives that everyone lives, the more out of touch you are, I feel like your life is probably a lot better. That's just my opinion on it. I'm going to kind of segue into another thing I've really been thinking about. And really, this is just stuff that, like, I have a lot of conversations with people on a day to day basis, and these are just my takeaways. And one thing, so I played college basketball for a bit, and one of my coaches, what he always said in practice was, it takes what it takes. And that's always stuck with me. And as I'm like, as I'm growing, I like to be around other entrepreneurs, if possible, other business owners. But it's very hard for me, especially just where I am right now. Hoping to move soon, but I don't relate to a lot of them. There's guys my age, like I said, I'm 24, who are like will talk and they're talking about work life balance and stuff. And like, that is just, I cannot comprehend that. Like, at our age, what do you need balance for? Like, you don't have kids, you really don't have any type of crazy responsibilities. Like, our 20s are the time that we are supposed to just give it our all and empty the clip every single day. And like, just what it says right there, it takes what it takes. Whatever work you have to do that day to get to that next goal, to get to that next milestone, that's just what it's going to be. And being around people who don't share that, it like, everyone, I'm not one of those like super judgmental, like, oh, you have to be this way, cool. Like, I don't really care what people do, but I just can't understand that or really be around that, just because I don't know. I feel like selling yourself short on that. Yeah, I don't know. I had a conversation with a guy the other day, and he was talking about work life balance, and I literally almost threw up mid conversation just because I'm like, hell are you talking about? So that's a short one. When I really want to focus on trusting your gut. So I want to clarify before I say this. Like I said before, I'm a Christian, and so all of my all of my big decisions, they're backed by my faith. They're backed by hearing the Holy Spirit and acting on what I feel like God is leading me towards. But on a whole different note and different angle, one of the frames that I have really focused on a lot in my life is just trusting your instincts. I read a book by Ray Dalio. It's called Principles, and it's just him talking about some of the principles that he has built his life and his businesses on. And there's a part in there that talks about how animals like a tiger, like they almost have an advantage over humans. And the reason is because they don't have any ability to think from a higher level and like look down on themselves. All they have is their instinct, and they just act on what their instinct is telling them to do. So therefore they can't overthink things, and they that is a distinct advantage over humans, whereas we do have that ability to look from outside of ourselves and kind of look down on the situation and think about this possibility, what could possibly happen. And I think in a way that hurts us. And ever since reading that part of the book, I've made it a goal of mine to just act with the most animalistic instinct I have as possible, and just really acting on what I feel is right in the moment, and trusting your gut. And I do feel like they all kind of coexist. Like, trusting your gut, trusting your Holy Spirit, like all of it, they kind of go hand in hand, in my opinion. And I will say my decision making has been a lot better since taking this frame. I and even when I do make a so-called bad decision, I ultimately learn from it. And so that's also feedback that, okay, like, I, even if it's not the outcome I was wanting, like, I still did the right thing by trusting my gut and just trusting my instinct. And so if you know me, like the people who are around me, they know, like, I'm very quick to act on things. I'm not someone who is gonna take a few days to think something over. Like, I like to move fast because I feel like speed wins. And that's just, in my experience, speed does win. Like, if you want to like really make something happen, just act on it. You'll get that feedback loop quicker, and then you're able to make any type of change that you want. And so I've just always followed that, and I do feel like it has served me well. And I encourage a lot of people to take that frame for themselves as well. But I think a big reason people don't, and I'll kind of segue to my next topic for today, is just people are very risk adverse. And you're not going to make it if you're risk adverse as a entrepreneur, as a business owner. What if you have any type of ambition and you're risk adverse, like, you're pretty cooked, bro, like, honestly. And it's something that I don't necessarily understand. And again, I've talked to like I've talked to friends. I've talked to other business owners who may like ask me for my advice or my take on a situation, and I'll give them like what I think is a clear pathway. Like a while ago, I was talking to a business owner who he just has zero lead flow, like none. It's really not even a business. Like he's just yeah, he needs deals and he needs deals fast. And so I was telling him like how well I do with ads in my businesses and how it's that's been a skill that has really served me, and like I think that's something that he should do is start running meta ads. And he was like, okay, like, yeah, I'm open to that. How much do you think I should do? And I was like, I mean, I'm not going to tell you how much you should spend on it, but I wouldn't pinch your pennies. And he was like, what if I spent $100 in a month? And I just told him, like, yeah, that's really not going to do anything. And he said that's all he was willing to risk right now, just because he told me straight up, he's pretty risk adverse. And I don't, that confused me because I don't see how you can do business on defense. Like you have to be on the offensive. You have to be willing to take risks because a lot of the big rewards that you get from business are on the other side of some type of risk. And I'm watching Succession with my wife right now, and so this is something that I think about a lot more than I should, honestly. I don't know why I think about it so much. Shout out to Roman Roy, Kieran McCawkey. Um, this right here, I'm not going to read it out loud. You can read it, but this is just facts. Like you can make any situation high risk if you overthink it, if you're considering all these other different options, and really like things is they're not that scary as they seem in the moment. Like these big monsters of risk that we have to fight against. Like when you look back, it's really this is not that big of a deal. Like you're not gonna die from it. Like most times, it's the biggest risk is you might lose a little bit of money, but money is also, I believe money is meant to flow freely and just kind of, there's an energy behind it. So I feel like if you're scared to take risks, then you're not going to grow. And so this is, like I said, don't know why I think about this quote so often, but I really do. You have to be willing to take risks. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. And one thing that I really do believe is the more risks that you take, you actually become better at taking risk. And in return, it basically lowers the risk in general. If you get really good at taking risks, is it really that risky anymore? And I might just be jibber jabbering, but like that makes sense to me. Like, okay, I take a bunch of risks, I take a bunch of risks. Now I'm getting really good at taking risk and identifying what risks are worth taking, and so therefore, oh, hey, this really isn't that risky because I've done this, and that in the past, and that's kind of my frame behind it. I know I am probably. I don't really have any fear of risk. It probably worries my wife and my family members, but this is not something I necessarily think about. I'm really big on I'm big on spending money on anything that I believe is going to help me make more money. And that's just kind of my frame behind it. And so you have to stop thinking about these decisions as, oh, I'm spending this money. You have to think it of, oh, I'm investing this money to get even more money back. And I feel like by reframing your thinking around that, it's actually very powerful and it'll make you more open to taking more risk. And that's that's really all I have for today. Just a few things that have been on my mind, and I just want to go back to the top to end this and just say it again. Like you can literally just do things, man. Like I want to just make this bigger because you can just do things. Like life isn't this, oh, you have to follow this rule, you have to get this degree, you have to go this path, blah blah blah. That all is fake. It's literally a side pop. Like just do stuff and you'll probably win because most people don't do stuff. So yeah.